All right, everybody, welcome back to the Shootception screen. We're about to bet on some sports, but while I go through and I look at what's now at 7:30, so we're gonna go through the 8 o'clock NBA slate. We're gonna bet on some player props, but as I go do this, I'm going to be telling you guys why you're betting on sports the wrong way and why most people bet on sports the wrong way. So, if you've been having trouble making money sports betting, or you're just looking to get better at it, you've come to the right place. So, as I go through, I'm going to be going and looking at the 8 o'clock games and placing some player props. Let's talk about why most people don't win money sports betting. Well, let's start off the fact that sports betting is thrilling. It's very addicting. The reason for that is because of the instant gratification aspect of things. You place money in the what I like to call the money dispenser, but it's the sports book. You place money in the sports book, and depending on what you place on, you could get your money instantly. Like if you're betting the first basket of an NBA game, you could get your money just like that. But for the most part, you still get a potential return on your money at a very quick pace. So you put money in at 7 o'clock for a game that starts at 7:30. You could double your money potentially by 10 o'clock. So we have that out of the way. It's a very exciting aspect of betting on sports and just gambling in general. Now, with that being said, what do most people put their money on when they go into the sports books? Well, a lot of times people are looking to kind of make whatever game they're watching more exciting. So they're sitting down, whether they're at the game or they're watching TV with their friends, and like, hey, let me place a bet and let me see if it hits. And this is what sports books are basically banking on. They want you betting on sports to be a part of your lifestyle. And they want you to think about placing a bet every time you watch a sports game. They want you to feel like if you don't place a bet, then you're missing out and watching the game just won't be the same. You could see it in their commercials, FanDuel, which is what I use. Their commercial is make every moment more. So make every moment more exciting than it already is. We might have found our first potential discrepancy of Kristaps Porzingis. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I would recommend going to no bet here, but I would recommend going to my other video, which is titled "The Only Way That You Should Be Betting on the NBA" or something like that, and you'll see exactly what I'm doing. I'm not going to re-explain it in this video, but continuing on with what I said. So basically, the sports books want you to be betting on their platform so they can basically, get you hooked and make money off you. Now, there are those people out there that bet insane amounts without any justification, and of course, those are not the smartest people, and they're giving money to the sports book. But the majority of people, what they're doing is they're betting parlays. They'll bet $5 or $10 on a parlay with the hopes of hitting it big. And the thing is, you can hit it big for sure. And I've known people who have hit it big. But what ends up happening is you get a big win. Let's say you place a parlay for $5 and you win $200, a really, really good return on your investment. Well, you would have to. So let's create a random parlay in FanDuel. All right. So let's say we think Porzingis goes over, Thomas goes over, Dinwiddie goes over. Typical square parlay. We put down $5 to win 32. Maybe we put down something more crazy, $10. Okay. Let's add another leg, Jaylen Brown. Okay, so we got this insane number, 1462. Now it's up to 1489. Good for us, I guess, if we were betting that, but we're not, obviously. But if we go to our expected value calculator, or better yet, we go over here. Let's see if we type in 1489 here and we do the opposite end as minus 2000 as an example. We don't know what the other end of this parlay not hitting is, but essentially you have a 6% chance of winning. So we'd expect to hit this bet 6 out of 100 times. So if you were to bet this particular parlay, which has now gone down in value apparently, if we were to bet that particular parlay, then we would have to hit it over 6% of the time to make money. But the problem with parlays and how people bet in general is if you look at all these odds that I'm looking through on Pinnacle right now, and Pinnacle is the sharpest sports book in the world. Pinnacle has the most accurate odds because they accept all bets. So nothing is off the table, which means Pinnacle is just basically collecting information, trying to make the best lines possible. But what happens is a lot of these bets on their own aren't worth placing because there's no edge. There's no edge over the sports book. To get an edge over a sports book, which, I guess we're locked out of these odds for some reason, so I guess we can go a different game. By the way, this is my first time ever live betting and not talking about what I'm doing. So it's going to add a degree of difficulty to what I'm doing, but whatever, we carry on. But anyway, so a lot of these bets on their own are not good bets. They're not profitable bets. They're not going to make you money in the long run, which is exactly what we are looking for. We're looking for bets that are going to make us money in the long run. And when you're putting a bet that isn't going to make money in the long run and you're combining it with other bets of the same type, which we have ourselves an odds discrepancy, we're going to place this bet. And real quick, so just to show you, I got this for minus 120. It's minus 161 on Pinnacle. If I take the odds, minus 161, 120, I get a no vig odds of minus 135, so 15 points lower. I'll take that winning percentage and I'll plug it in here with the odds I got, and I make $5.55 over time. Most bets, you're not going to get this kind of value. Like, for example, let's say we decide we want to take this other side. There's a 42.43% chance of winning, and the odds on it are minus 102. We're going to lose almost $16 over time. And this is an extreme example because it's on the other end of a positive EV bet, but this is exactly what we're trying to avoid here. We're trying to make good bets. And if you're placing 4-leg, 5-leg parlays, a bunch of legs that are expected to lose value over time, well, then you're just compounding the chances of you not winning that bet because the odds are just going to get worse and worse and worse. The probability is going to get worse. Your odds are going to get longer. And of course, you might hit it, but you might hit that parlay that you're hoping for, but it's not a sustainable strategy. And you're going to keep betting these parlays, trying to chase these big wins. And even if you hit one, let's say you hit a $5 parlay to win $200. Well, you're going to keep betting that $5 and you might lose another 100 or 150 before you hit again. And you're up 250 in the process. Let's say you do that. You get lucky, you hit 2 of these parlays. But with all the bets that you've placed, you're not really moving the needle at all. And of course, a lot of people like to bet for fun. And if you're one of these people, don't think I'm telling you that you can't bet for fun. As long as you keep it controlled, you can absolutely have fun doing this. I certainly have a lot of fun doing it. I have a lot more fun making money, which is what I've been doing. But If you're just trying to have fun, then this isn't really the video for you anyway, because this video is for those who want to get serious about sports betting and make more money. If you're just trying to have fun, then go at it. Bet whatever you want, as long as you know the risk that you're taking on, essentially, which is probably not going to win. But if you're legitimately trying to make money and you're doing it by making parlays, then it's just a losing strategy. You're compounding your odds in a negative way, and you're never going to get ahead like that. But let's talk about, so we talked about parlays. Let's talk about another way in which people lose money sports betting, and that is, doing spread bets. So let's go to the spread of this game. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves are favored by -7.5. So it's favored to win by 8 points. No push here. And that line is -114. If we go to the spread, which is on Pinnacle, they have it at the exact same price at -114. So we're going to take those odds of 102 and -114, which we just found on Pinnacle, and we see that the Novig odds for at least the Timberwolves side is about -107. We'll take that, and we'll put it in here. What am I doing? Okay, so we get -114 odds. We're expected to lose value over time, so it's not a good bet. The thing is, a sports book like FanDuel, really any sports book, pays the most attention to spreads and totals and money lines because that's what most people bet. And so they have the most information coming in on those odds. They don't really have the same information as these player props do. So that's why you can get odds discrepancies on these player props. But most people bet spreads and money lines totals because, one, it's the first thing that pops up on the page. Two, because it's the thing that can most easily be predicted without research. And when I say predicted, I mean like everyone's got an opinion on it. Like I look at these two teams and off the top of my head, with my NBA knowledge, which you don't need NBA knowledge to be good at betting on the NBA and sports in general. I bet European soccer all the time. I know nothing about any of those teams. So, but from my knowledge, I know that the Timberwolves are a better team than Utah Jazz. They have more talent. So I might think, well, Timberwolves are at home and the Jazz aren't that great. I think the Timberwolves will win by 8. That is what most people think. And obviously the Timberwolves could win by 8, but they might not. But over time, because of the juice that they bake into these odds, this bet is not going to make you money in the long run. So even if you bet on the spread at -114, you'd make $87. So you're not doubling your money. It's $13 less than doubling your money. So for you to make money betting this type of bet would have to hit 2 out of 3 times, 4 out of 6 times. It would have to sustain at a clip that would basically just imply odds that aren't available on this bet. That's why spreads are bad. But you can obviously, if there is an odds discrepancy, a spread could become a good bet. Like let's say this was plus 100, it would imply, this implies an over 50% chance of winning, as we saw here, 51.8. And if it was a 50%, like at plus 100 on a sports book, then it would be worth placing. But most of the time, a sports book is not going to drop the ball like that. Sharps would jump all over that, and they know that. But they know a lot of people are, they're not going to look at these player props right away. And the thing with these player props is that there's a wider market for it. There's a bit less confidence in this market, but the market isn't so large that it's completely unconfident. And what I mean by confidence is like the difference in spread or the vig that's baked into these odds, essentially. So it's like, so if a fair bet is 100 to 100, and this would be like a fair bet here would be like minus 127 and plus 127, then there's about 32 points of odds of vig baked into these odds. So while it's a lot of vig, it opens up, a chance of variance in the odds that these sports books post. Now I concentrate on FanDuel because OddsJam has a service like this where you can go in and you can find positive EV bets that pop up. But as a guy that loves doing things on his own, that's what I've learned to do. So I use my one sportsbook, and I can usually find about 3 bets per game, which is pretty much good enough for me. And if I do that per game, I'm getting these positive EV boosts. And sometimes OddsJam might be slow to update Pinnacle's odds or stuff. I've placed bets using the positive EV tracker for OddsJam, which it's a great service, but sometimes it might be slow to update odds. So I'll place a positive EV bet just to have it go down later. And looking at Pinnacle directly as I'm placing these bets gives me a better chance of making the right call and making a bet that fits within the system. But I titled this video, why you're probably betting on sports wrong. So what is the right way to bet on sports? Well, if you want to make money betting on sports, you should only ever bet on sports or bet on a game, a prop, whatever you're betting on, if you have an edge over the sports book. If you do not have an edge over the sports book, you should not be placing any sort of bet whatsoever on that game. Let me repeat that, because this is the foundation for how you manage your bankroll and learn to spot opportunities to become a good sports bettor. If you do not have an edge over the sports book on a particular bet, you should never place that bet. Ever. Only place bets where you have an edge. And an edge entails anything like the Anthony Edwards points prop that I placed before. Anything where you have a percentage where the vig is already baked in. It's like this one, Lauri Markkanen, rebounds, 119 minus 159. Let's plug that in real quick. We have a 57.35% chance of winning. I believe it's at minus 132. We're expected to win money over time. Now, I'm not going to place this bet because I need at least a 2% expected value for it to be worth placing for me. But if you're going to place a bet, like that bet is better than the majority of them out there, because at least over time that bet will make money. Now, you're probably looking at that and thinking like, wait, that's only 80 cents. Like, that really doesn't mean anything. I don't get the difference. Well, what that is showing is basically over time, if you place a bet of similar odds at that price and you do that over and over again, over time, you're expected to make money. Right here, Lauri Markkanen points, minus 140 and 106. We're going to plug that in again to our calculator. Get minus 120. I believe it's minus 118. It's not going to be enough for me to place it, but that's another bet where we have a slight edge. And that is essentially what I'm doing here. Now, for whatever reason, I'm not finding a ton of bets tonight. I do have a whole list of bets that I've placed already tonight, and all of them have been following this system. On any given night, you could probably find anywhere between 15 and 30 of these, as long as you look deeply enough. But that's essentially why most people lose money betting on sports, is because they're betting on what's essentially a negative investment. I don't know if you guys know a whole lot about investing, but I can guarantee you that you'd rather place your money on something that is expected to go up over time, right? Well, that's what we're doing. We're basically buying a portfolio of bets with the anticipation that if we bet enough of them, we'll make money over time. And that's essentially what I'm doing. Now, I want to make sure that I can find another one of these bets before I end this today. But that's essentially what we're trying to do here. And if this is confusing at all, just know that I started betting maybe when I was like in college, like maybe 5 years ago. And it's taken me, some time to figure out what the hell I was doing and how to do things the right way. But what you essentially have to know is, go find these tools on OddsJam, the expected value and the no VIGs fair odd. You just make a free account with OddsJam, and you can use this for free. You can access Pinnacle, you can access whatever sportsbook you are, and just go through and look and play around with these odds. And who knows, you might come across something, and it might be worth placing. And that's what we're doing here over and over. Would love to find us a bet. It's like, what about this one? Kevin Huerter assist, minus 207, 152. We can get this for minus 164. So you see here another example of a bet that you'll make money on over time. Again, not enough for me to place personally. And being picky is a big part of this. So you want to make sure that you're not stepping over your system just because you're anxious for some action, essentially. And that's kind of another reason why people are bad at betting sports, because they're anxious for action and they're just trying to get a bet in on a game when they don't have a good read on it. You only want to be betting games in which you have an edge, right? But sometimes the opportunity comes up where you don't have or no opportunity comes up to have that sort of edge, and you just end up placing a bet that isn't profitable. We want to only place profitable bets. Here's an interesting one. This is a very interesting one. So this is a huge discrepancy. We have Keegan Murray, his 3-point field goals, minus 69 and 124. Look at these odds. That's for 2.5. We're getting it for 168. So I'm going to lock in this bet right now before the line moves, because I think it was at 188. I might have been tripping, but yeah. Way to not verify my location, FanDuel. There we go. But check this out. So we plug in those odds with the percentage that we got. We have an $11 expected value over time. So I'm going to place 2 units on this bet. Anytime I get more than 10%, I place 10 units. It'll let me put 1,000. I'm not going to do that. I'll place 2 units on that for sure. huge odds discrepancy. And you see what happens when we look enough, we find bets just like that. So anyway, I've been rambling for a little bit, but regardless, I hope this kind of gives you a perspective of why most bets are bad. And in my next video, I'm going to go deeper into this topic and talk about why 99% of bets are bad bets. Stick around.